Carried, brilliant. So we go back to
Jacob's just walked in.
Jacob. You're in the hot seat, mate.
Oh, and actually the person up there is also here, I think. So David.
Oh, David. Okay, right. So we're back to item 7. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Good morning, Mayor and councillors. I'm David Sang, the project manager for Greers Langdons Road intersection.
What we have got probably, sorry to cut you a bit short, we've got a mover and seconder, so everyone I think is generally happy, but there is a couple of questions that councillors would like to ask you, Councillor Henstock. We've all read it, so.
Yeah, thank you. My first question was around cost. I see 8.3 in the report on page 101 that you've got a shortfall of 850,000, and you reference that you're going to try and look at some cost-saving options during the detailed design stage. Can you give us any update on that, what that's going to look like and what your plan B is to make sure that there's sufficient funding to complete the project?
Yeah, we are going to, my managers are really aware of this. We are going to shifting budget from some other projects. And meanwhile, we are just started the detailed design, but we still need council's approval for the final decision. So we are going to do some investigation in the cost saving, and we are engaging early contractor involvement to minimize the cost.
So specifically, the program will draw some budget down from is the traffic signal renewals budget. So it's traffic signal related, and this is obviously traffic signals. So that's.
Thank you. Look, the second question was around one of the resulting actions from the combined community board meeting was investigating the additional measures to prevent the right-hand turning from Greers into Reynolds, but I don't see any changes to the design. Can you talk me through that, please?
Oh, yeah, because we are underway for the detailed design. We haven't completed that. We need council's approval to proceed with the design.
So that could still come. That was with reference to some barrier or something along that medium strip to prevent the right turning traffic into Reynolds. It was a specific request from the joint community board meeting, so that's still in action.
It's still under investigation, yeah.
Thank you. The next one's just commenting in relation to the traffic stats. I see that they're really out of date. Some of these are almost 3 years old. Is there any additional anecdotal evidence or information there about that? It's 2021.
Oh yeah, those numbers are for the impact of the commercial development. We didn't have a traffic survey we present to the joint community board at those 3 access point and on Greers Road as well. So we did undertake a traffic survey during our investigation. It was last year, twice, yeah.
And my final question is, once the works are done, do you intend to do some monitoring of the impact on the local network?
Yes. We are going to monitor the operation of those 2 new modified intersections.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Johansson.
Yeah, thank you. Several questions. The first is, why are we paying? Oh, sorry. Who's paying for this? Are we paying for it, or is the developer paying for it?
There was a condition, but it was removed, so we are going to pay for that.
Right. Can someone explain why we're paying for something that has been an adverse reaction to a private development that's profiting off the adverse impacts?
Yeah, we mentioned in the report it was a condition in the resource consent, but later the applicant asked for review based on updated traffic assessment, so the planning commissioner removed the condition.
So what I can't understand, like from reading the report in 5.5, increased traffic has increased challenges and safety risks for pedestrians, cyclists, result in longer delays for turning, increased in running. This project's aiming to do that. But then in 5.7, it says the applicant sought to vary the conditions based on updated assessments, and that resulted in the removal of the restriction on using Block C prior to the signalisation, which seems to indicate that even though the problem's gotten worse, our consenting has given the developer the opportunity to make the problem even bigger without the requirement to do anything. And I don't know if someone can maybe explain that.
We'll probably have to get some of our consenting people
Right.
to explain that to you.
Okay,
'Cause
because
it's-
I've raised this before as well, because in my area, in the Kinaway, we had a similar situation where traffic conditions, in terms of roading infrastructure, cycling infrastructure, were removed, and then we had to pay a considerable cost as a council, a few years later, when the adverse impacts come. So I think there's something not working with our system, and it'd be really good to understand what's happening here.
Yep. Are you done? I've got an answer to your question, I think.
So is there any way that we could get the developer to pay a contribution to this, given that there's a funding shortfall, and given that there'll be other projects that now miss out because of it?
That hasn't got a lot to do with this. What I was going to say is the developer has probably paid what some of us around here would call a very small fortune on DCs for that whole block of the Firestone site. So, and knowing a little bit about DCs, you pay them for the upgrade of roads. It's all part of it. Some might be for sewer, some might be for water, public transport, whatever. It's in there, and he will have paid, whoever he or she is, towards that. And I think going to see them to hit them up for more is not fair for the amount of development contributions they would have paid, because you've got Braintree and Cancer Society in there, and all of those. There's lots and lots of buildings in there, so the money would be substantial. Councillor Scandrick.
Yeah, I think one of the questions would be that once a decision is handed to a commissioner and the commissioner removes something, what recourse does the council have? That would be a good understanding for us. So, because once we have no say, and it's quite rightly that we have no control over the commissioners because they are independent, and they should be. But and I do understand and sympathise with development contributions about where they go, but this is a separate issue. So it'd be really good for us to understand what recourse and when we choose, if we choose, to take that when a commissioner removes something from a condition that has been established by council.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, comment.
Yeah, it's good.
I have a question. Out of the 2 million or the 2.5, whichever, if you add the 800 grand onto it, how much is NZTA paying its normal 51% towards this? It might be written in there and I haven't seen it, and I apologise for that.
Yeah, we are going to apply for the funding, 51%.
Yeah, so we will apply for the funding from NZTA for the 2.5.
Yeah.
Okay, but we haven't done that yet because we haven't got details on.
No.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you. Councillor Kewen.
So going by what was signed off in the current design, the only raised platform or surface treatment is going in and out of Reynolds. The intersection itself is not going to be a raised platform, is it?
No, it's not.
And that won't change during the detailed design?
If there are any changes, we will ask for approval.
Right, okay. Sweet.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So we have, do we have a mover and seconder after all that? Yes. We did. I thought so. Okay, so any debate anyone like to talk about? Councillor Johansson, please.
Yeah, I just am really concerned. I mean, I totally understand the need for something to happen in terms of traffic safety. I think the frustration is that for pretty much as long as this new development has been in and the board's been coming to council, some of us have been asking what's happening with the traffic, it's dangerous, it's unsafe. To me, this highlights a massive problem with how we're doing consenting. If something like this development can occur, make the problem worse, and then get permission to undo conditions that are supposed to mitigate the adverse impact it's having on a local community, and then put the massive cost on us as a city to make it safe when they've benefited. So, this is really frustrating because, I've had examples in my own area where similar things have happened. If you look at the cycleway along the Heathcote River, there was supposed to be a condition in the consent or the outline development plan that the Kenaway development would actually put in cycling and pedestrian safe access given the increased truck volumes. And of course they came to the community board and argue all sorts, and then they get some yellow lines and a little bit of undergrounding, and then we come back and spend millions of dollars on a pedestrian cycleway along the river. So It just seems to me that there's something not working within our system, and maybe we need to look at. I know we do audits of resource consents every so often, and maybe we should actually do an audit of this one to ensure that we're learning the lessons. And maybe we need to make sure that we're reviewing the commissioner's work so that when we reappoint commissioners, we do so on the basis of how they're performing. But I cannot fathom, and this report makes it really clear, how a problem has gotten worse because of the development, and yet at the same time our consenting has allowed them to do away with the conditions that were supposed to mitigate that adverse impact. I also am a little bit concerned under 6, and I'm not sure I can support it. I would like to know specifically what other projects are going to be deferred to fund the shortfall of this. And I think we should be being told, as we do with some of the change requests, we should be really clear about what project is going to suffer because of the budget overrun.
Okay, Councillor Henstock.
Thank you. I hear what Councillor Johansson is saying in respect to the increased volumes of traffic from the Langdons development. But I think it's important to note that the entire area has been subject to significant uplift, both in terms of residential developments and commercial developments. So I think to actually put the spotlight on solely on that development is perhaps a little bit unfair, but I recognise that it's a contributing factor, but I don't believe that it's the sole factor for the increase in that traffic around that area. This is something that's been on the Community Board's radar for quite some time, so I'm really pleased to see the intersection project progressing, and I'll be supporting it. Thanks.
Okay, any other questions?
Phil?
Oh, g'day. Councillor Barber, good to see you, mate.
Thank you. Yeah, look, I just want to say how pleased I am to see 5A included in there. I think it's really important for staff to continue to look to assist people who are in streets where there are major changes being made. They don't need to have a lot of indented parking bays in berms, but it certainly makes a difference to a number of people's lives if they have that opportunity. So I really appreciate the fact that you're looking at that. I think it would have been really useful in a couple of other changes in various parts of my ward. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll just throw my five bobs worth at it. The new development down Langdons Road has been an outstanding success. It has it's certainly lifted the whole area, and especially with turning something that was sort of quite a contaminated site and making it good for everyone, and that reserve where all the plants are planted out next to the railway line, absolutely outstanding. So I'll certainly be supporting it because it's find a point on it, it's a bugger of a intersection, and it certainly needs some work. So I'll certainly be supporting this. So I will put the Councillor Keogh.
You're completely right. And being the councillor, it's on our ward boundary there between Papanui and Harewood, that this is definitely the second most requested set of traffic lights in the entire area. So it's good to see this one go ahead.
Excellent. Okay, so I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Against? Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Kelly. Okay, so we don't need to go into PX because we've sorted those minutes out